Whoever thought Agony could look so good animated? Here's a look at the brand new NECA toys, Toony Tears, Saws, Jigsaw, and Billy the Puppet. Bring the fun of Saturday morning cartoons to your horror collection with these adorable little creeps. Standing at approximately 6 inches tall, the box set includes the Jigsaw Killer and Billy the Puppet with Tricycle from the Saw movies. The figures stand in 6-inch scale and come in a window box packaging with bonus cutout backdrop. Well, it's Saturday afternoon. We've all been invited over for games. I hope we start with Pin the Tail and the Donkey. Before, of course, we get a closer look at the new Toony, Tears, Saw, Jigsaw Killer, and Billy the Puppet. The tape measure is first going to tell us that the figures are about 5 inches in height first for John, and that's going to work out to be a figure that's about 13 centimeters tall. Billy is obviously quite smaller, even though he's sitting on top of his tricycle. He's actually only about 3.5 inches in height, or about 9 centimeters tall. And then to bring in a couple of figures for comparisons, having already looked at Megan, and we're going to kind of keep all the killer dolls on this side, here's what he looks like with Megan. So obviously Megan's going to be a little bit taller than Billy the Puppet. We'll also bring in Chucky. Chucky is still, again, a little bit of an outdated figure. I still hope that at some point we get ourselves a new Toony, Terror, Chucky. But again, like killer dolls all on this side. On this side, though, let's bring in some of the other figures we've just recently looked at here on this channel. Backtracking only by just one video. Here's what the figure looks like with the Misfits Fiend. And then just before that, we also looked at the Return of the Living Dead Tarman. I have taken the liberty of grouping the accessories by what character they belong to. You'll notice an abundance of accessories on this side and little to no accessories over here. Billy the Puppet, though, isn't slouching literally and figuratively, as the figure also comes included with his tricycle. So at least, hey, there's that. He doesn't look like he's attached permanently onto the bike, though. You can see that his hands are separate from that. You can also see as well that it looks like he can lift his seat off this seat. The only thing that looks like it's permanently attached is his feet to the bottom of the pedals, or on top of the pedals. The bike itself does have a large spinning tire on the front and 2 small spinning tires on the back. And there's technically posability as well for Billy. You can rotate the head back and forth as it is on its own ball joint. It's a nice looking Billy the Puppet, although if we are in the world of Toony Tears, which I like to think that we are, I would have maybe oversized his head and even made his eyes much larger, just to really drive home the idea that this guy's from a cartoon. Because as it is right now, short of the coloring just being a little bit brighter than traditionally Billy the Puppet would be, he doesn't really look that much different from the movie Billy the Puppet. Like I said, I would have made his head a lot larger, maybe not that big, but you know what, you get the idea. I would probably make it a little bit larger, much larger eyes as well, just really overly exaggerate them. But that's Billy the Puppet. We'll just put him right over there. Then again, for the Jigsaw Killer, or John if you prefer, the figure comes included with his claw, with his sleeve blade. Why did I say claw? His sleeve blade that sticks out the end of his sleeve. If you have been collecting Toony Tears, you'll probably recognize this color combination. The darker bluish gray and then that little bit of reflection of blue is something that we've gotten with the Jason Voorhees. I think one of the earliest figures, even Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, even I think Ghostface have all come included with weapons sort of like this. What isn't the case, though, is that with this one, you actually can see there's a little bit of lip of plastic on the end. He doesn't actually have a handle, so he's not holding it like an actual blade. What he does instead, though, is if you look on the end of his sleeve, there's a slot right there that you take the blade and you just have it like literally ejecting out from the end of his sleeve like in the movie. You just got to be careful, though. Putting it in, I was worrying that I had to put a lot more pressure than I was expecting, that I thought I might have potentially broke the plastic on the bottom. I haven't yet. While we put him right here with the blade sticking out, the figure also comes included with a reverse bear trap. One of the OG traps from the first Saw film. It's always the best. I honestly feel it's one of my favorite of the traps that we get from the Saw films. It even has a little padlock there. It's got the timer there on the back. It's molded here nicely in a dark chestnut brown. It's not something that you're necessarily going to be putting on top of John's head. Not that he'd be wielding his own, not that he'd be wearing his own traps, but it's just a nice little souvenir that comes included with him. I don't really know what I'm necessarily going to be doing. Probably just putting it by his foot, for example. The figure also comes included with his folded down cloak hood. Now, this is only if you wanted to swap the figure's head sculpt out with the pig mask, which just happens to be off the side there. What you'll do instead is before you put the pig mask on, you'll actually take this piece first, and you'll put this over top of the ball joint. I'll show you guys what that looks like in a second. First, though, let's pick up the figure as he is right now. Let's just remove the blade because I don't want to break that. Getting a closer look at John. I'm not really sure exactly what he's looking at. He seems to be looking up at the sky. Head sculpt is really good on this one. Kind of reminds me of Jigsaw from, I guess, more Saw 2. He doesn't have a removable hood for obvious reasons. It's all sculpted in place. I think the head sculpt's really good on this. I still don't know what he's looking at necessarily. I probably would have just had the eyes looking straight forward, but I love the scowl on his face. That's a guy that's seeking revenge. For his body, he's pretty pre-posed, though. I mean, like, his arm's going to be always down. I mean, any of these articulation for these figures are always going to be usually just really relegated to like 5 points. John just happens to suffer a little bit by having a lot less articulation. He really only has it just in the shoulders, and he has it here also in the hands and in the head. But the head sculpt's good. If you did want to change it out to the pig mask, though, we're just going to go ahead and pop the head off from the ball joint. There we go. And then just before we do that, we're going to go ahead and take the hood and just put that down first. Take the pig mask, and we're just going to pop that back onto the ball joint. I had a harder time actually getting the pig mask in place. That I ended up having to heat it up just a little bit in hot water. It has since cooled off a little bit, so you may have saw me struggling a little bit trying to get that onto the ball joint. But that's what the pig mask looks like. And then the only other thing left to then do is just go put the blade back in the sleeve there. I mean, obviously, with having the temptation now of two really stellar looking head sculpts, I'm really interested to kind of get more than one of these, and I can have one displayed on the shelf like what you see right now, or and again, have the other one displayed then with the John Kramer head sculpt. Really great looking heads on both cases. Let's go ahead and just right now remove that. Again, if you quickly want to see what the head sculpt looks like for the pig mask, we're not going to shortchange you guys at all. Nice little stitches that they've got on the side of the face there. Barren looking eyes there, and the long black hair. Really just an eerie looking head sculpt in the movie. Still translates pretty eerily though, even though it's a more cartoon look to the killer. All right, let's go ahead and pop the head back off. Just remove the hood back again, and we'll just put back in the defaulted head sculpt. I'm sure we're probably going to come back to the pig mask as we get to the end of this review. For the rest of the figure's body, while looking at this, you would assume that the figure's body was probably cast in black plastic until you look at the bottom of this. I think it's actually more been cast in red plastic, and then they probably would have had to meticulously go in there and paint this all in black. Probably did this, though, in black plastic and maybe painted the end of the sleeves. But, I mean, the fact that they're looking at the bottom of this, maybe it was just easier for them to cast all of this in black plastic and just paint the bottom in red. But it does look like the bottom of it by the way it is. Unless they did. Maybe they just went in there and painted it in red. Either way, though, it's a nice-looking body. It's very long, as it should be. To compare him with the earlier looked at Tarman, I mean, like, he's even taller than Tarman, which, again, just makes me think that Tarman needed to be a lot taller than what he actually was. He's, again, very limited on articulation, which unfortunately is the case for Jigsaw here. So his head's only really going to be on a ball joint. I mean, it does allow at least the head to rotate back and forth. It looks up only by just a little bit. It looks down. Well, if you blinked, you may have missed it. Up and down, that's it. And you can rock it back just a little bit back and forth that way. Now, the arms, again, are pre-posed, so they're always going to be up like he's just one of those old men that, just pointing at the sky. Why is the sun need to be out again today? But the arm just only rotates back and forth this way. This arm rotates only just by a swivel in the shoulder. And then you also have the additional benefit of the articulation in the wrists. For the lower legs, though, nothing at all. But he does have at least, hey, there's something, a peg on the underside of his feet. So you did want to use, again, a display stand that NECA does produce. Just plug it on the bottom of his feet. Not that the figure has really any issues at all standing. Whether you decide you want to display him with the unmasked John Kramer portrait, or hey, why not? This little piggy went to buy traps to torture people. You can also display it that way as well. Nice looking figure. Yeah, I do wonder if we are going to be getting a variation of this. Maybe the red cloaked pig killer. You never know. If that's the case, I'm sure they probably are just going to simply use the same head sculpt as we've already gotten already. If not for that, I might just be tempted. Oh, twist my rubber arm. Twist my one pre-posed rubber arm that's sticking up to the sky, flailing my fist at the sun. I might just find myself picking up a second one of these so I can actually have one figure displayed with the John Kramer face, and then, of course, one displayed with the pig mask. Too good, I think, to be putting back in the packaging. And, of course, just by virtue of that, we'll just end up having two Billy the Puppets on his tricycle. But that's not a bad thing at all. I like the figure. I think, if anything, I would say, like, Billy the Puppet needed to be a little more exaggerated. Just giving him a bigger head, more exaggerated facial features on his face, I think would have really drove home this set. But if you are certainly a big fan of Saw and the Toony Terror line, it's definitely worth a set picking up. Well, I finally made it out of that cellar trap that I've been locked away in for months, hoping to go to my local stores and seeing if they had new stock of NECA available. Nothing's changed at all. In fact, I actually just went to my local comic book store not too long ago, and they just have old stock of NECA. I asked the guy, how come you're not stocking anything new for NECA? And he actually said to me, well, customers aren't really coming in and buying anything new NECA, so we've just decided not to order anything new. That's how you have a successful business. If you guys have had similar failures finding things in the local wild, you can actually find this guy or this set of Jigsaw Killer and his little partner and colleague in crime, Billy the Puppet. I actually did find this one at Entertainment Earth. Still in stock as far as I know. And that same link, if you guys, by the way, are interested, will save you 10% on anything that's currently in stock. If you guys have, though, on the other hand, been lucky enough to be finding any of the new Toony Terrors Wave, let me know if you guys have been collecting these and which is your favorite figure so far. Gotta say, it's the Tarman. I mean, I don't think that's necessarily going to be changing when we're going to be looking at Vincent Price, which, by the way, will be coming up in the upcoming review. But I got to say, like, Tarman is my favorite, the star of this current wave. Megan was good, too, but not as good as Tarman. Tarman is still my favorite. But if you guys have been, collecting any of the Toony Terrors, let me know what your favorite is down below in the comments section. And if you guys have enjoyed this video, I want to throw it a like. If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing, you're on board, you want to see still that review of Vincent Price, which will be coming up shortly, hit that subscribe button down below and turning on the bell notification are very two important things to ensure that you're not missing out on anything that's coming up onto this channel, whether it be Toony Terrors or otherwise. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.